Water erosion has become a major environmental challenge in many different countries worldwide, especially in form of mudslides and floods. It can damage many people and their properties. So we've been hearing about it more frequently on the news. For example, the disastrous mudslide that happened in the city of Petropolis in Brazil, or the heavy flood and mudflow disaster in the city of Quito, Ecuador, or the mudflows that are frequently happening in some big countries like the United States or India. All of them are water erosion, and in this video, we would like to understand what it is, why and how is it happening, and what should we do to prevent it in the future. The term water erosion refers to two different factors. The first part refers to the moving water, which comes from the sky as precipitations or the rivers moving water. And the second part refers to the moving soil when some amount of it moves from one place to another. Let's start with the soil part. Imagine that we cut the soil from four directions. Then we have a cube containing different layers called soil horizons. They are known as O, A, B, and C from the top. Our lives as humans highly depend on these O and A layers at the top, which are called topsoil. Topsoil could be between 13 to 25 centimeters, and it takes more than 100 years for each centimeter of it to create. So, like fossil fuels, topsoil is a non-renewable resource because it cannot be replaced as quickly as it's gone. It's also critically important for us because it supports our food. Agricultural products and other plants like trees and shrubs are highly dependent on the nutrients of the topsoil, and the animals that we eat are fed by the topsoil too. Now imagine the topsoil is removed and it's going to be placed in somewhere else. That would be a real problem because the removed soil won't be suitable for agriculture and the remaining soil cannot support plants and vegetables. This whole dispositioning process is called erosion, and either wind or water can cause this. When the wind is the responsible factor, we call it wind erosion, and in the case of water, we call it water erosion. Let's focus on the second one. The question is how the water erosion starts in the first place. To answer this question, we have to understand the term overland flow, or it might be called surface runoff. When the amount of the rainfall is greater than the ability of the soil to absorb it, overland flow occurs. Then this excess moving water can move everything that it can move with itself. This overland flow cannot move the soil if the soil sticks to its place. The problem starts when the soil can easily move on the surface with water. For example, the time when there is no vegetation on the soil and the roots that can stick all the soil's particles together are not available. Or when someone plows the soil at the wrong time, for example, tillage on the slope just before it rains, or when the raindrops are strong enough to detach the soil's particles from its surface, which is called raindrop impact. This strong excess water could move the detached soil on the slopes in all these cases and deposits it somewhere else. This deposited soil is not soil anymore, it's now called sediment. This process can happen in different forms in different areas. It could be seen as sheet erosion, which the discoloration of the landscape is a clue for this. Or it could be real erosion. Rills are some shallow channels of water in the landscape. The rills could extend into some deeper and wider channels called gullies. Gullies are some severe problems in many different areas. They can damage the infrastructures, especially roads. Finally, the mass movement erosion. It can happen in form of soil creep. Soil creep can take many years before it is noticeable in the landscape with tilting posts damaged retaining walls, and sloping trees. All of them provide clues of active soil creep. At the other extreme, mudslides are examples of very rapid mass movement events. Okay, let's focus on what we should do about all of this. There are many different techniques to minimize various water erosion forms called soil and water conservation measures for more sustainable landscape, like terraces that stop water movement and also give the advantage of providing flat surface for planting the crops or trees. Another way is to use water drainage ways to lead the excess water on the slope when it rains. They are called contoured drainage ditches, or creating contoured dead barriers like using stones to impede the soil to move further down on the slope. These contour barriers could be live barriers too. We can use some specific plants in rows to protect the soil. Or in the case of gullies, we can take advantage of some control measures to not let them get larger and deeper. For example, using contour divergent ditches on top of them and do some measures to not let the water flow in them, and so on. Considering the local conditions, we have to choose the best option to reduce the impacts of water erosion. In this way, we can ensure the soil's productivity and save people's lives.